Welcome back. I'm the Book Guy, and today we're finishing off our read-through of the 3 novels by Andy Weir. We're up to his 3rd novel, Project Hail Mary. Also, if you've been watching along with these reviews so far, I'll just acknowledge now, yes, I got a haircut since the last video. It was a pretty big cut. It's a bit shorter than I wanted, but I like to donate my hair every couple of years. So, no, you're not going crazy, and sorry for the short hair jump scare. Anyway, so this book has been all over my Instagram feed for a couple months now because of the brilliant movie. It's had a lot of success, it's bringing a lot of new readers to the genre, so welcome guys! Now, I'm basically going to tell you today why it's still worth reading the book. This story has some hard science, a high-stakes plot, and some pretty big sci-fi concepts too that are still easy to comprehend. Andy Weir's books are always smart yet simple, making them a great read. But best of all, this book has possibly the single greatest pair of friends since Sam and Frodo.
It's a bromance, Turk. You can't fight it.
Yeah, we got a bromance that's gonna hit you in the feels. So let's take a look at the story and see if it's gonna be right for you. Now, fair warning, I am actually including one slight spoiler today. Normally I try to make my book reviews very informative yet spoiler-free, but this story is so popular and everyone kinda knows now what the story is about. I mean, they put it in all the marketing. So we're going to talk about that special character that is introduced partway into the book. Now let's begin. Ryland Grace wakes up on a spaceship many light years away from Earth. The rest of his crew are dead. He is the sole survivor on a desperate mission to save Earth from extinction. Except he has no memory of how he got there, or who he is, or what he's supposed to do. Grace must solve a great scientific puzzle and piece together the fragmented memories of his life with all of the world at stake. And yet, he may not have to do this alone. So Hail Mary, much like The Martian, is very heavy on the science, but light on the prose, meaning it's very simple and easy to read, even while it makes you think about some pretty big ideas. There's quite a few branches of science explored in this one. For one big topic is astrophysics, the science of traveling space, how to get from A to B across a huge distance and how much fuel will be required and how much energy output necessary. There's a fair amount of maths involved, and some astrophysicists have even written articles about how the maths mostly checks out.
Math checks out.
There's astronomy, so not astrology, but the study of celestial bodies, so planets, suns, and moons, and how these things function. It's very cool stuff. The biggest branch of science in this book is exobiology, the study of life outside of Earth. How would it exist? Would it be carbon and water-based? How would it breed? And I really enjoyed seeing this topic explored because usually if a story has life outside of Earth, it's a horrible monster that's going to kill us all.
I'm a shark.
But this book explored it in a way that was much more scientifically grounded. The final bit of science is not so much a field of science, so much as it is creative problem solving. You know, critical thinking, the essential part of the scientific process, looking at complex problems and finding scientific solutions. This is honestly where Andy Weir's writing is at its strongest. The problems are smart and therefore the solutions are even smarter. I honestly think that Andy Weir has been so successful because readers and audiences want hard science. We want smart ideas that are well researched and fact-checked. So let's get more writers doing this sort of thing. Maybe just write it in layman's terms, though. Now let's address the elephant in the room, as it were. Yes, there is an alien in this book, a rock creature who Grace names Rocky. Now, I won't talk much about the exact biology and nature of this guy, since that is half the fun of the story, but I do want to talk about how he's written. So many stories will write aliens or any fantasy species as either total monsters, or they do the whole they're just like us story. So either the story really humanizes them or kind of dehumanizes them. But Rocky is an amazing alien because he is so completely different and he's still just like us.
And you know what?
I don't mind it.
So the story never lets you forget for a second that this is an alien character. He speaks differently, he moves different, thinks different, acts different. It's incredible just how much thought has gone into making Rocky's distinct attributes of species and culture so unique. This is probably what you've seen quoted all over social media, speech idioms like amaze, 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 or fist my bump.
Fist my bump.
And yet, Rocky is still given so much character work and even a character arc. I've seen other critics say that they think Rocky is the real protagonist of the story, and I think that's a valid opinion since he is the one who grows the most. Many readers find ourselves invested in him most of all because the story humanizes him so much. So that's what makes this story so unique. We have a fantasy race that's definitely not human and yet still human. Now, this book may be heavy on the science, but there's still really nuanced character writing here. So Grace is such an interesting protagonist, because on one hand, he's smart and funny and likable, yet he's a bit of a mess. His major failing is that he runs away from all challenges and gives up when things get difficult, both professionally and personally. He ends up being a very talented guy with very little accomplishments to his name. Grace is jaded and cynical. And I just gotta say, I love that all three of Andy Weir's protagonists are quite different people. So Mark Watney is an outgoing adventurer and a professional, even if he's a little irreverent, where Jazz Bashara is a petty criminal who's wasted her potential, can often be crass and rude, and then Ryland Grace is a light-hearted, funny guy who is jaded and cynical at heart. And I just have to say, this is how you should write protagonists. Give them all unique personality traits and attitudes that make them stand out from the millions of other fictional protagonists out there.
I am one of a kind.
I've seen people write out experiments or fan fiction of how each Weir book would change if they swapped protagonists around. And it's a fun idea because you can actually do that because the protagonists are developed and distinct enough. But as I said, the best character work really is Rocky the alien. Now, at first, it is hard to tell what's his real personality and what's just standard to his species and culture. But we see his personality emerge over time. He's very blunt and direct, maybe even a little rude, but he's also protective and cares about the well-being of those around him. And that's all I'll say about it. But just, I love that he's not a paragon. He's not perfect. By giving him flaws, he actually becomes more well-rounded. I'll also highlight Eva Stratt. So she's a major character from the Earth segments. And so she's basically the top scientist in charge of creating the Project Hail Mary. She's a great counter to Grace because he's uncertain and he avoids all his problems while she charges headfirst into any obstacle, and she's the most driven and pragmatic individual. Overall, there is a very small cast of characters in this story, so it is quite similar to The Martian in that it's a story that has a lot of isolation, though of course with one key difference. So there are three plot lines in this story: the flashbacks, the Hail Mary itself, and alien buddies. The flashbacks were very smoothly done, so Grace wakes up with memory loss, and I've always enjoyed a good amnesia plot line, like Link from Breath of the Wild.
Wake up, Link.
But one of the challenges of this type of storyline that takes place in the past and present is you gotta make the past just as interesting as the present. If it's more interesting than the present or less interesting, the book can get frustrating and boring. But I thought the flashbacks worked here because they were equally important to the rest of the story. It starts out quite simple. Grace sees on the news that something is going wrong with the sun. He and all of Earth start putting together what's going on and what's required to fix it. The plotline has so many surprises continually through all three acts of the story and stayed interesting the whole time. Now, the Hail Mary plotline of solving the big science puzzle and trying to save Earth, that is the real goal of the story. Because all of the suns are dying except one, and Grace needs to figure out what's special about this sun that will hold the solution to hopefully saving Earth. I will say I actually had one negative about this plotline, and that was quite simply there was no time limit. So in The Martian, for example, Watney has to escape before he runs out of food, so very much a ticking clock. But Project Hail Mary seems to have almost infinite time, because we know the sun is going to run out in a matter of decades, and it has to be decades because, well, you need a big number so you can do the space travel storyline. But it does seem like once Grace is out there in space, he just has unlimited time to figure out the puzzle. And I thought that lowered the stakes because there wasn't that sense of urgency. Still, there were plenty of interesting twists and turns with the Hail Mary plotline. It developed nicely across the 3-act structure and had some of the biggest moments of the whole book, so overall it was very well done. And the final plotline is simply the alien buddies, and I'm not gonna lie, I think this is why most people love this book, because Grace and Rocky have to learn how to communicate, learn about each other's biology and culture. Now, a plotline like this does run the risk of just being cool world-building stuff. Oh, look at a fictional race, how interesting, and the author shows off how much thought they've put into it. But here, it's tied much more directly to the characterization. We're not just learning about humans and aliens, this is Rocky and Grace. We see their relationship grow through several stages, and it's by far one of the sweetest things you'll see. Now, before we go further, I do want to acknowledge something. After I made my last 2 reviews on Andy Weir books, some people flagged with me that Weir has made some controversial comments, and let's just touch on this briefly. So he made statements saying that books should not be political or have social commentary, and that he would never do such a thing. Now, I encourage you, please go read the full statement before you react. But this has got to be one of the most bizarre statements I've ever heard, because his books are so filled with politics and social commentary. Like, the apparent lack of awareness here is a bit staggering.
What you got there?
It's a smoothie.
Now, I'm not going to discuss this topic at length today, though I do recommend this video by Willow Talks Books, which I thought was a very mature and well thought out discussion on the harm and the privilege behind a statement like that. But I do want to discuss the themes of the book, because what many people consider to be politics in a book are actually just themes, and a book without themes, it's a lot like AI art. It doesn't have a soul.
That is one big pile of shit.
The whole reason many of my book reviews include a segment on themes is because stories are full of them. And I want to prompt you to go into these books and consider the ideas there. Read beyond the surface level and really engage with the text. Part of the joy of reading is critical reading, the studying and learning of new ideas. So let's look at all of the themes in Project Hail Mary. So the first major theme is cooperation. This theme is everywhere in this book. As soon as the crisis hits Earth, scientific minds start sharing knowledge most of the time.
No one wants to share?
And yet, even the scientific community fears that the governments of the world won't do the same and will refuse to share technology and ration food. So the risk of not cooperating could spell doom for us all. Best of all is the cooperation between Grace and Rocky. So these two guys need each other and cannot survive alone. In fact, these guys are literally an example of the red or blue button thought experiment. Do you prioritize personal survival over collective cooperation? This offers a social commentary, if you will, that it's always better to work together than to just focus on your own self-interest. Another theme is sacrifice. So many of us might know intellectually that we should be willing to sacrifice ourselves for a greater good, but in reality that's hard to do. Many of us want to keep our lives and our happiness and our comfort rather than lay that all down for someone else. And yet, this theme suggests that a strong, meaningful relationship will inspire people to commit a noble sacrifice, even if it goes against their nature, that love empowers sacrifice.
Take her to the moon for me.
The third theme is a hopeful future. So this is just not a bleak sci-fi story. The whole story suggests that maybe humans will work together and come up with scientific solutions and the human race will endure. If we can demonstrate hard work, intelligence, and creativity, then we can do great things in the future. And if you really want to read into it, just look at the name. I mean, the Hail Mary is a common football term, but it's a reference to the prayer, Hail Mary, full of grace. And what's the name of the main character in the book? Grace! Okay, maybe that one's not that political. Still, you can see that there are many themes in this book about life, humanity, society, and the universe. Maybe it's not considered political because it's not about minorities. Now let's talk about the movie. Now, many of you may have watched this movie and loved it. I'm right there with you. And now you're considering, do I want to read the book? Well, the movie is a faithful adaptation overall. I think it's just about as good as it could have possibly been. But there's still a lot more of the story that the movie just left out. So that's why I think it's worth reading the book too. So for one, the Earth scenes are explored so much more, especially at the start. This was the biggest change. Genuinely surprised me when I watched the film. Couldn't believe how much they left out at the beginning. So in the movie, we basically get one scene showing the problem and almost immediately presenting the solution, the Hail Mary. So it moves to the project part of the story pretty quickly. But in the book, we watch as the world slowly uncovers a major problem. We see the panic spreading through society as we fear an encroaching apocalypse. People scramble to come up with as many different plans as possible to fix the situation.
We are definitely going to die.
The book even explores quite a few of these other scientific solutions, and then when they fail, it shows why we need to rely on the long shot, last resort Hail Mary. And I kind of wish that some of these other options were kept in the film. I mean, for one, they need to warm up the Earth, so they literally nuke Antarctica. And I kind of wanted to see that. I mean, name me one movie that wouldn't have been improved by nuking Antarctica.
Marry me.
Anyway, the second big change in the movie is that it just simplifies and skips over a lot of the science. This is very common in film adaptation. In fact, they did the same thing in The Martian and The Three-Body Problem. But the book explores the science behind all these ideas in a whole lot more detail. And so all that stuff about astrophysics, exobiology, astronomy, etc. And we see the process a lot more of putting together all the clues. It's fascinating stuff. The movie tends to just be like astrophysics, solution, and skip over it a little bit. Third, the movie focuses a lot more on Rocky's personality, not his biology, where the book explores the physical nature of Rocky's alien form in lengthy academic detail. I mean, the characters learn about each other's biology, it's a part of the story, but the movie just focuses on his character. Now, I do think that's a pretty good change, but it does mean that there's still plenty to enjoy in the book. Much of this story is just one white American guy in space, but the Earth scenes are very multicultural. In fact, all of the best scientists from all over the world are collaborating on the Hail Mary. And just like with The Martian, the diversity genuinely makes the story better, because it's not just America working on this project, but all of humanity. So it raises the stakes, reminding us that everyone is sharing in this risk.
Teamwork, baby!
Also, there's several prominent women in this story, both in leadership roles and as top experts in their field. Still, I think the true representation of the story is in Rocky, because Rocky is so different to us, and yet he's an important character. His story is all about overcoming our basic fear and prejudice of the unknown and learning to see humanity in all sorts of different forms. There's not much of a content warning to worry about in this one. There's a decent amount of swearing and some discussions around suicide, more from a pragmatic perspective, but there's not any violence or sex or anything like that. The book's very easy on this front. Now, is the ending worth it? Yes, I will say this book just keeps getting stronger the deeper you go, and the third act really is incredible. So it really is worth sticking with it all the way through to the end. And that's all I've got for you today, so I hope that answers your questions about this book, and you'll know now if it's worth giving it a try. So good luck and happy reading. Now, if you enjoy long-form book reviews, subscribe to see more. I normally review whole series, but I'm doing a lot of standalones at the moment, so check out my channel if you want to find your next read. Let me know all your thoughts about Project Hail Mary, book or film. I am there for it. You can support my channel by buying my own books, the Immortal Investigations, an urban fantasy series. You can check out my online shop or my Patreon to help me keep doing what I do. I'll see you next time, and I hope you enjoy a good book today. Bye.